Namaste. Welcome to Mental Health and Wellness with Divya Hari. Do you know we get hypnotized twice a day, every day? You're right. Our topic for today is hypnosis. To talk about hypnosis, we have with us today Ms. Pranjal. Pranjal is a certified clinical hypnotherapist. Let us welcome her on our show today. Hi Pranjal, welcome to our show.
Hi Divya, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good as well.
I was talking about how we do get hypnotized twice a day, right? To start off with, can you tell us what hypnotism is or what hypnotics is?
So before we talk about hypnotherapy, I would like to first talk a bit about structure of our mind. Our mind is structured into two parts, majorly, conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Conscious mind, which holds up 10% of its space, and it is responsible for logical thinking, analyzing, decision-making skills, and so much more. Wherein subconscious mind holds up 90% of its space and becomes a very important and essential part of our lives, as it holds every bit of information that is received. It associates it with the emotions that we feel and eventually form the belief systems and the behaviors that we exhibit. So belief systems are formed on basis of the responses that we get in conclusions, and the behavior are responded to the conclusions that we have, and eventually the behavior patterns are learned. Subconscious part again is further divided into two parts. One which holds the current life experiences, and another one which holds up the innate responses that we are born with. And now talking about what is hypnotherapy. So hypnotherapy is basically a state of hypersuggestibility where a person is more accepting and open to receiving new suggestions. And a hypnotist uses trance to help the individual to heal. A trance is basically a state of focused attention. Yes, so certainly we do experience hypnotherapy on a daily basis as well. So if we take an example of reading a book or watching a movie, how while doing it we get so engrossed in our activities that those stories, those emotions that we are feeling, what they are portraying, and we forget about the environment around us. It's just basically any repetitive task that we end up doing, it puts us into that focused state of attention where we are on the surface level of hypnosis is what we can say, like driving a car, and we end up reaching to our destination and realize that okay, we forgot about our journey. So what happens, the events we cannot recall.
The way you explained about how when we are entirely focused on one activity can be considered as hypnosis was very captivating. You mentioned about how hypnotherapy can help with anxiety and depression. Can you explain how?
Right. So when it comes to anxiety and depression, majorly what we look at is symptoms of it. So it can be state of hyperattention, like focusing on that one aspect which is making you feel a little scared or a little nervous. So tapping on that and making it focus down bit by bit, helping you understand of what sort of imaginations that one is using, or how they can help themselves relax, calm, because like how hypnotherapy is, it puts you into the state of relaxation as well at first. So that is also one aspect. So yes, when it comes to anxiety or depression, how one is feeling those emotions and feeling restless, or at times not being able to work around with their confidence. So we work majorly on the symptoms part of it when it comes to any situation, be it anxiety, stress, depression. So we pick out those, understand it from the client's point of view, and then take it forward by helping them relax. Hypnotherapy is also a state of relaxation that we put one into, so that they can focus on what is that particular aspect that is making them feel like that, or if it is a certain image that is coming to their mind, or if you want to work around with our confidence. Right? So it can be helpful that ways and those ways, and also we use certain techniques specifically for that area, but before that we probe into it a little bit to understand what sort of a technique would be better and helpful to the client.
When we talk about hypnotherapy, all over the world there are so many misconceptions or misunderstandings, right? For example, as soon as we talk about hypnotizing or hypnotherapy, the automatic image that comes to everybody's hand is the therapist standing with a spiral trying to hypnotize the other person. So I think this calls for some myth busting. So for the first myth being, a therapist hypnotizes a client using a spiral. Could you tell us what the reality of it is?
Right. I mean, like how I said, hypnotherapy is a focused state of attention. Now, that focused state can be brought either through focusing on one point, or it can be through focusing on their thoughts, their breathing patterns. It can be any such thing. There are 1,000 different techniques to put one into hypnosis. So, spiral and using a watch is just one of those stereotypes that are counted, and it makes us feel like the one is being stuck into it. But wherein it's just asking you to focus on that one aspect, so that we can put you down to hypnosis slowly and on that focused state of attention.
So because of portrayal in the movies and in documentaries and short films, people do imagine that a therapist would be holding a watch or a spiral and hypnotizing the other person, right? One more thing I've heard of often is only weak-minded people can get hypnotized. What do you have to say about that?
Right. I mean, when it comes to weak-minded or strong-minded, hypnotherapy doesn't take it that way. I mean, it really depends on how much a person is ready and acceptable towards working on themselves. If the person is resisting, then it becomes really difficult to put them into hypnosis, because it's asking them to focus. But when they are resisting, there's so much of conscious thoughts which are going on. So it becomes very difficult that way. But otherwise, it doesn't really depend on weak-minded or strong-minded.
Right. So when we also talk about weak-minded or strong-minded people, one more thing that comes into picture is the therapist takes control over your thoughts. What do you have to say about that?
Right. I mean, nobody can take control over anybody's thought. That's the kind of truth that we are dealing with. If that would be the case, I mean, everywhere that would be used, specifically in courts, or to just get out the truths. Why would we use any other mechanism to deal with it? When it comes to controlling our mind, it is very important for us to understand that while during hypnosis, we are still in the awake state of mind. We are not really, in the sleeping state of mind. So it's not that one cannot understand what they are speaking. So one can choose to stay calm and not speak about anything. So it's up to their choice. So no compulsion is there out there.
Right. So also people also say that hypnotherapy is very dangerous, or hypnotherapy is harmful for the clients. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, to be very honest, hypnotherapy is quite useful, and it's nowhere gonna harm. Again, it's a focused state of attention, and it's help you relax. So it rather is helping you somewhere rather than putting you into a dangerous space. And of course, there are some things that we kind of take care of, specifically when it comes to while we are making the client come out of hypnosis. We ask them to check within themselves initial few times that if their head is feeling heavy or are they feeling dizzy, they can always reach out back to us, or they can just take a good sleep and it will be better. Because like how we sometimes get awakened by a certain thought suddenly, and we feel like our head is a little heavy, or sometimes we feel like just sleeping and it feels a little relaxing.
Okay, so and can hypnotherapy be used as a standalone practice or as a standalone method of healing?
Right. I mean, definitely it can be used that way, but it is always better if we use it in along with different therapies as well. So few people do follow that method of standalone therapies, but I particularly prefer using an eclectic approach, which is designed particularly for that one individual, because everybody's mind is different and it's dynamic. So we kind of need to do that. So it's, for example, if I tell you how I try to keep it is conscious and subconscious being in sync. So, for example, how we set up an alarm, and every night, and we want to wake up early in the morning or just follow a certain routine. And while we are setting up the alarm, there's like this little voice that is telling to us that every day you put up the alarm, but you're not going to wake up. but still we do put up the alarm with that hope of, okay, maybe I will try. So next day what happens, we end up either snoozing the alarm, or we don't wake up, or there's certain excuse that comes to our mind, or sometimes we don't even hear the alarm, right? But when it comes to keeping conscious and subconscious in sync, for example, there is an important reservation the next day, or a flight to catch, an exam, or an important meeting, we put up the alarm, and that soft voice also says that yes, I'm going to wake up no matter what. And the next day sometimes we wake up even right before the alarm, like 5 minutes before the alarm we'll be awake, okay, the time is going to be there, right? So it really depends on how you keep your conscious and subconscious in sync. It can be practiced as standalone practice too. It's just that it takes more time from one to reach to another, like from subconscious to your conscious, or your conscious to your subconscious, but wherein both are equally needed to be worked upon.
You spoke about eclectic approach, which is integrating various forms of therapy into one, so that it is more powerful, right? So it can be traditional talk therapy, it can be cognitive behavior therapy, person-centered therapy, with hypnotherapy, which makes it eclectic for you, right? So you beautifully explained about what hypnotherapy is, what are its benefits, and you also cleared a lot of misconceptions of what hypnotherapy is. So before we wrap up, could you give us the mental health tip of the day?
Definitely. So I would say that remember 3 things when it comes to our mental health: your appetite, your energy levels, and your sleeping patterns. This creates a huge difference in your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranjal, for coming to our show and talking about hypnosis, which is a huge misconception in India and all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Click on the bell icon to watch our latest videos.